You're listening to the Connect Church podcast featuring the pastoral staff of Connect Church in Tupelo, Mississippi. This podcast delivers biblical truths, hot topic discussions, and encouragement you need on your daily journey to live like Christ.
The Human Resources Department requires that I be available.
Not sure if the invite cards are nifty, but the mustache is definitely not.
He's in charge of our children. What are we doing?
I don't.
Here are your hosts, Terry Pierce, Andrew Pierce, and Tanner Stahl.
Thank you all for being here. Let's get started.
Yes, thank you all for being here. This is the Connect Church podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Tanner Stahl, worship pastor at Connect Church. This is episode 003 of the podcast. We're 3 podcasts in, guys.
Thank you, Ron Swanson.
That's right. Did you think we was going to make it to 3 episodes, or did you think this was going to fizzle out? What'd you think?
Do we have 3 likes so far? Or
yeah, I think we're getting some good feedback on the podcast. We encourage you to check back on whatever platform you're listening on, Apple, Google Play, I can't even think, SoundCloud.
Give us some stars.
YouTube. Yeah, get that. Give us some stars and subscribe so that way we know you're listening, and share the podcast for sure so other people can listen and learn about Connect Church a little bit and some spiritual truth and biblical truth as well. So, guys, how's it been going?
It's been going.
Y'all look just fantastic. I wish y'all could see what I see right now, listening audience, because Terry had his heart surgery Monday. Today is Wednesday. And Andrew just looks like he rolled out of bed. Mm-hmm. So he looks like Andy.
Yes.
He looks like Andy from Parks and Rec.
He does.
I almost said Andy Bernard, but not Andy Bernard. What's his name?
Dwyer.
Andy Dwyer. Yeah,
100%.
Dwyer. Andy Dwyer. Chris Pratt.
I'd rather be Andy Dwyer every day over Andy Bernard.
But you act like Andy Bernard. So
get out.
I'm just going to throw that out there. Anyways, so we're excited to be back on the podcast. It's a lot of fun for us to do, just to sit back and talk about what happened over the weekend. The sermon coming up later on in the podcast, we'll have we're fine tuning our segments. We're the best and the worst of the weekend. That's what we're going to talk about for us a little bit later on. Where to go in Tupelo, and of course a great promo from the legendary Daniel Tucker coming up later on in the show. But anyway, so let's get into what happened this Sunday as far as sermon goes, our services, how they went. You know what, Terry? Go ahead and tell the audience what you were telling me just a minute ago out in the foyer there.
A shout out to the music.
Yeah.
It was a great job with the song selection and the band. And man, I was into the worship. It was just it was a great segue into the sermon. And so I love, just the combination of singing theology about the church and about our relationship with the Lord, and our folks were into it. It was just, our folks like a little bit more spirit of worship, and so man, it was, and I hate to use the term rocking, but I don't know how else to do it. It was, and it's okay to use that term, by the way. It's okay to enjoy worship. It's okay to show emotion, and it's okay to enjoy Jesus, and so our folks were doing that well Sunday.
That's right. We don't want you to be bored.
Absolutely.
While we're worshiping through song, because who wants to do that? That's just awful. I can't imagine. And honestly, just being truthful, and there's some times when you get in the routine of leading that I'm bored when I'm up there, and I'm like, well, if I'm bored, I know they're going to be bored, So, but
think about it. The God of the universe is in love with us, has saved us and redeemed us, and if we're singing about that truth and that theology of that fact, how can you possibly be bored and not into it?
Right, exactly. So, yeah, the band did an outstanding job. All the singers did a great job. You can watch those services online, and it wasn't on Facebook. So, sorry about that, people. It was not our fault. It was a Facebook issue. I'm sure most of y'all probably got signed out of your Facebook on your devices last week, and that caused a glitch in our connection from Vimeo to Facebook live stream. And I got that reconnected last night, and I'm going to run a test here in a little while just to make sure that it's working for.
But you can go back and listen to it. So if you did miss it, or you were not in service or whatever, you can go back to our webpage or to Facebook, and it's on there now.
All right, it's on the homepage of our website. It's on our Facebook page. And if there is ever a Facebook live streaming issue, you can tune in on our website, www www.triconnect.church and click the live stream tab, and boom, there it is.
There it is.
Every Sunday. And also, in working out the Facebook problem yesterday, I may have, and I don't know yet, we'll find out Sunday, I may have connected it to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So it may stream on YouTube as well Sunday. We'll find out. I don't know. I'm not techie. We'll find out. So I just hit the button, and in theory it should work, but you know how technology goes. Sometimes you do things and it doesn't work.
I like buttons.
Yeah, you do. You like to push buttons, that's for sure. That's why I have a big sneeze guard over my soundboard here. Anyways, no. All right, so the sermon title this week, in our third sermon in our series, This Is Us, the title was God's Purpose for Me and My Church. So expound on that a little bit, Andrew, since you got to listen to the sermon.
Yeah. Well, we were
Totally caught him off guard.
a little bit. I'm struggling today, y'all. We were talking a little bit. We were talking a little bit in our Connect groups and stuff based off of how we have these 4 pillars that we believe that the church is supposed to be centered upon. But when we take it a little bit more personal and how it actually applies to us in our local church context, but that we're all just the local body of believers gathered together. I think it was cool talking about in Acts chapter 2, after they gathered together and they were doing all these things and everything, they really, I felt, cultivated those 4 points that Terry shared in the sermon that God planned you for.
Did you
the
say
sermon?
Sherman?
Oh goodness, I'm going to do that 1,000 times.
Sherman.
But they understood that God had planned them for His pleasure. They understood that that they were now a whole new family and stuff, and that they didn't always get along, and I'm sure people had beefs with one another and everything else. But that because they realized that they had a mission and that they were created to become like Christ, it was amazing to see how the gospel was taken out in Acts chapter 2. And I think from our spirit of worship on Sunday, children's church was actually good on Sunday, even though Terry went forever. It was still good on Sunday and everything. When we think about it in our local church context, it's cool that we got to talk about in our Connect groups how this is playing out, how people are realizing that they are designed for His pleasure, how we are a family that gets to gather together, that we are trying to strive to become more like Christ in an ever so dark world, that we are living on mission. It's cool to see that within our people grasping that.
Which was the word that was used in verse 42, the word devoted. And we unpacked what that meant in the original language, but I love the phrase that we defined that with, is they were being in a state of constant engagement in the teaching of the apostles. And to back up what Andrew just said, that's exactly what the text, was bemoaning, that this is how the early church did it. They just did not lose, the center of why they were here, is they were making disciples, and that was what they were constantly doing. Yeah.
To put a little lighter talk into this real quick, just to break it up a little bit, you gave you put a picture of an oil spout on the screen and asked if anybody knew what it was, and I think 7 people raised their hand. And anyway, so I have to assume that because you are of the elder generation, comparatively speaking.
I was an 80s kid.
You're an 80s kid. Yeah, right. 70s kid. 60s kid. No, what were you? I don't know. Anyways, I have to assume that you used one of those oil things as a kid. So tell us your first experience. Do you remember doing it for the first time?
It was horrible. I had a 1978 Mercury Cougar. Didn't have any money, and so we were cheap and poor, and so getting ready to have 3 kids, and so life was that way. And so I was changing my own oil back in the day, and the thing was, in the 80s, the stupid companies come out and they took them from being metal cans to this. It was like a thick cardboard. Ridiculous idea, horrid idea.
Yeah, so the can was a cardboard?
Yes.
I can't fathom that.
It was this, whatever, conservative, to save money and environment and all that crap stuff. And anyway, and so they took the oil can spout, and when you would stick it into the cardboard can, it would just wrinkle in front of you. The oil would just pour out all over you, and you'd have to go buy another. I think that's why they did it. That just hit me. You'd have to go buy another cardboard can, and stick the oil spout in it, and there was never anything that caused me to lose my Christianity and discipleship any more than that.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, what I'm imagining is a toilet paper roll full of oil. So, I mean, like, surely it was better than that.
It was close to that. And then in the day, you had to, because it was just the cord or whatever it was. So you had to do, and they had bigger engines. So you were putting 5, sometimes 6 cords in there. So you were like throwing the dice whether you're going to get one out of the 6 that was going to fold on you and spill all over.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get back into a little sermon talk here.
Was that not fascinating?
That is very fast. I mean, it really is. It's for us, for the younger generation.
That's true. That's true.
Kids these days, and even people my age, some, I don't know, they probably wouldn't know what to do with a rotary phone right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I can't imagine. I wouldn't know what to do with a cardboard can of oil. Like, how does that even survive on the shelf?
When people want to talk about going back to the good old days, those were not one of the things that they were referring to.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
All right, you talked about the 4 purposes that God has for your life and the church, for our life and the church, and those are that God planned you for His pleasure, God formed you for His family, God created you to become like Christ, and that God made you for a mission. So why is it so important for our church to get this right? Why do we work so hard to do what the Bible says?
Yeah, it's a great, great thought. And the key is what Andrew alluded to and what you'd asked about earlier. Once the church, this is us. This is what we're talking about. This is the theme of our sermon series. Once we get us right, once us as a leadership, the music, the children's ministry, when we're focused in on these 4 key principles of, honoring God and Christ-centered in the Bible, and then the key, the catalyst, I think this is where churches fall down at, is being led by the Holy Spirit. Somehow we've gotten scared of that, and so we programmed it out. We got to be slick and cool. And then the other side, we can't change anything. And in the middle is exactly what the New Testament church was. The Holy Spirit led that. And once we do this right, and we lead because it's not about you or me or getting attention for us or putting on a show. When it's about honoring God and all that we do, and the Spirit's leading, He's going to give us wisdom. He's going to make us look better. And then these 4 key principles that you just read off, we're going to help our people have better homes, better lives, their marriages, they're raising their kids, going to work. And these are the 4 things that we're going to teach every Sunday in some form or fashion. We're going to help you become a disciple of Christ when we get church right. And that's the way God designed it, and it's exciting.
Yeah. And the whole point is to be more like Christ.
Yeah, family.
All right, a family, right. So that's really a loaded question when you think about it. And
it's so simple, isn't it? And how in the world have we so jacked this up that it's
simple, yes, but at the same time it's heavy.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be more like Christ? Like I had my D group last night, and we were talking about that, and not necessarily in that form of a question, but I was telling them there's a relationship, an acquaintance in my life that when they come around, I know I need to be more Christ-like because Christ hung out with the least of these, right?
Right.
And this acquaintance needs to be brought along and not necessarily discipled yet, but just into the faith, first of all.
Understanding who He is. Yeah.
Exactly. But my mind self says, I don't want that around my family and my kids. You know what I'm saying? So, be like Christ, put it on the scale, and which way does it go? So what does it mean to be more like Christ,
Well, there was a statement we made in the message. The joy of the fellowship came from the heart, not because people were trying to impress anyone, but they developed an attitude toward each other that enabled them to truly. It's the heart meds. And so to truly enjoy each other. And I think Andrew could speak to this. We've all been in ministries and churches and situations, and one of the dynamics that we learned that is healthiest for us is to be able to really begin to see the fact that I don't deserve to be here, and we're learning how not to be Ron Swanson, but to really enjoy people. And I think that's the key of a healthy church and a Christian is we enjoy Jesus. And if you really get that down, you're going to want to help the least of these. And so I'll let Andrew speak to that part of it.
Yeah, there was just a quote, and it's been reverberating in my mind under his, I think it was the part where he said, God formed you for His family. He said, God wants us to learn how to love real people, not ideal people. And so, when somebody becomes a Christian, or even if they're struggling with whether or not to fully believe or commit their life to the Lord, is obviously their lives may look a little bit different than somebody that is actively been discipled and discipling others and everything, and they're more mature believers. But the fact is that God has called us to reach real people, to reach anybody, to go to the least of these, to go to the orphans, go to the poor, go to the outcasts of society, to bring them all up, as well as the CEOs and the business owners and the, the quote unquote best of these or whatever. We're supposed to be reaching real people. And the problem that I have a lot of times is, just being honest, is I don't always like people. My personality will clash with people and stuff, but the problem, or the beauty of all this is like Terry just said, is we have to learn that we don't deserve God's mercy. We don't deserve anything, in a way good in our lives, because we deserve sin and punishment and eternal separation for that. And yet God graciously gives that to all of us, myself included. So I don't get to pick and choose who should come. I'm just called to simply be with them, disciple them, and love them.
And I think that's one of the coolest things, and this is where the Holy Spirit being led, Tanner, it's the home run. This is what enables us to move beyond just, that's so simple, but to actually move beyond our human way of thinking and Americanizing church, is this whole idea that God's doing right now in our church. I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't know how I missed this. I feel like such an idiot. But God, in this family concept we've been talking about this month, He's teaching me. And He's teaching our church, we don't have to all like each other. Yeah. There's sandpaper people in the church. Yeah. We're not telling you Connect Church has it all together. We're telling you we got sandpaper people. Some of us on staff are sandpaper. So we've got all of this, stuff going on. And yet what God says is that we love each other for the mission. You guys, act like brothers sometimes between the whole Ole Miss and the Arkansas thing. But yet,
and we play tonight, by the way, in basketball at 7:30.
Do you not? That's a great lead-in setup.
So Belen is leading service tonight. She better be done by 7:30.
I got you. Just cut her off, man.
Trust me, it'll be much shorter if he's not going to be there.
Valid. All right, so since you brought up, the God's mission for us, let's leave the audience with a question, and you can expound on it if you want to. But as you're listening to the podcast, as you're rethinking about what's been said and God's purpose for you. So let me ask the audience, what is God's mission for you? And we encourage you to pray about that, get in the Word about that. That's the only way, you won't get that answer by listening to this podcast and hearing what we have to say about God's mission for you. That's where you're going to get that when you spend time with God.
Oh, that's great. And the only thing that I would add to that is that, to me, that's one of the most profound things that we looked at Sunday, is that God planned you for His pleasure. He not only made you and designed you, and you have to going back to your oil spout, the reason an oil spout exists, for those of a younger generation, you have to go to the Creator. What in the world was that stupid looking piece? That stupid piece of metal, what is it designed for? And that's what you guys are missing in your lives, is you have to go to your Creator and ask Him, so why did you put me here? And here's just a couple of thoughts we had in the message. Go back and listen to them. But you can't make God stop loving you. And that is a heavy thought. You cannot make God stop loving you. You can try, but you will fail. And then the other one on the other end of the spectrum is God doesn't need you. He wants you. And the more you become a disciple of Him, all of what we talked about, the more you're going to find out that He really does pursue you and want you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And let me just real quick, if you go back and listen to the sermon on the podcast or on the website or something like that, if you listen to it, I made a boo-boo. And so I'm just owning up to, so that way when you're listening to it, you're like, what the heck is that? So in last week's sermon, you had people come up on stage and pray.
Yes.
And so when I go back and edit that for the podcast, it's separate tracks and layers, right? Mm-hmm. And I forgot to take out Mark Burt's track. So you're just preaching along, and here comes Mark Burt praying.
No way.
And so Chuck found that for me. Thank you, Chuck. Way to go, buddy.
Oh, wow.
Because I think I got Ashley out and I got Hector out. But I forgot to get Mark out, and so
he's a state fan. It's fine.
Yeah. How could you forget Mark Burt? You got to edit him out.
I just didn't even see it. I didn't even see it. So that was my bad. If you hear that on the podcast, sorry about that. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with our best and worst of the weekend.
Have you been looking for a place to call home? Need a place that makes you feel welcome and valued, while at the same time growing spiritually in Christ and biblical truths? At Connect Church, our mission is all about loving God, loving people, and making disciples. When we gather together, there's a spirit of worship, a spirit of kindness, and a spirit of welcoming to anyone and everyone who's seeking God's will and truth in their lives. We invite you to visit during one of our 2 Sunday services to discover how Connect Church can help you grow in your relationship with Jesus Christ. Our friendly and spirit-filled worship environment is just the place for you. Visit Connect Church this Sunday during our 9 o'clock or 10:30 a.m. services, located at 1650 North Veterans Boulevard in Tupelo, Mississippi. Or you can check out our live stream on our Facebook page or our website at www.triconnect.church. Again, that's www.triconnect.church. We look forward to connecting with you.
All right, and we're back on the Connect Church podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, YouTube. You found it. Obviously, if you're listening to a podcast already, you're up with things. If you can't, it's 2021. If you can't find a podcast, there may not be help for you. I don't know. We'll find out. But anyways, we are glad you're listening. We appreciate your listening and your feedback. And, of course, I got some feedback in the email this week. If you got any feedback you'd like to send our way or some questions or whatever, email. My personal email is tanner@triconnect.church. That is the Connect Podcast official mailbag, tanner@triconnect.church. You can reach me there. All right, we're going to do the best and the worst of the weekend, guys.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Wait. Which was it?
This is the worst.
Oh, yeah, getting into that old 80s kind of music there.
I was an
Terry.
80s kid.
You were an 80s kid. Not. I don't think so. All right, Andrew, we'll start with you. We'll go around the table. What was your best of the weekend? Or since we last recorded a podcast, what was your best?
My best.
It could be sports. It could be food. It could be whatever you want. Just what's been the best thing of the week?
I have no idea. Can we start with Terry?
Yes, I'm totally into it.
Go, Terry.
The fact that Tom Brady knocked out the Green Bay Packers, yeah. And so I'm a Bears fan. So just watching Rodgers lose. Okay, anyway, it was awesome. And so watching Tom Brady. So who's the GOAT now, baby?
Yeah,
so
see, anyway. I like Tom Brady. I definitely think he's the greatest of all time. I think it's incredible that he's in his 10th Super Bowl. 10 Super Bowls. That is insane.
Here's the thought, though. So just, and I hate to bring this up, but LeBron and Michael Jordan, so the debate, it's a flip. When Patrick Mahomes plays on Sunday, in my opinion, he is going to be the Michael Jordan. He will wind up being the greatest ever. He's already doing stuff that we just have never seen before. But it's like, the Jordan thing, longevity or whatever, reverse. But I think that, Brady has a great career, and like LeBron has all the stats and does all of that stuff. But if you just wanted to pick a game where you wanted one guy to go win that game, it's MJ, and it's going to be Mahomes at the end of the day. And I'm a Brady guy, but you got to say that Mahomes is going to be, he's just doing stuff we've never seen a quarterback do.
I like Mahomes. I got no problem. I like the Chiefs a lot. That's fine. I'm a Titans fan first and foremost in the NFL. But back in 2015, okay, run with me here.
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
I knew it had to be an Arkansas story.
Texas Tech had Patrick Mahomes, and they played at Arkansas. And we stunk, man. We're Arkansas. We were terrible. And they beat us 35-24 with Patrick Mahomes. So I'm sorry, I'm just not into until he eclipses Tom Brady. He's not the greatest of all time to me.
Forget the last 6 years in the NFL. That has no bearing. But 7 years ago in Arkansas,
I'm just saying, if he's the greatest of all time, he should have just pistol whipped Arkansas, and he didn't.
Well, he's not the greatest of all time yet. He's working his way towards that. I think was his argument.
In hindsight, it's like, dang, they had Pat Mahomes, and they barely.
What? You remember though that MJ lost games in North Carolina.
Oh, he lost to Arkansas in Pine Bluff.
Well, see, there you go. And he would not say that MJ is not, all of that. So he lost to Arkansas.
You're right.
And by the mid to late 80s, you didn't say Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time. Sure, he had done some incredible things already through the 80s, but it was not until like the 90s where you're like, dang, he's the GOAT.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, come on, Arkansas was terrible, and you barely won with Patrick Mahomes. Anyways,
well, let me give you my worst. So Green Bay.
No. We'll come back to the worst.
Okay.
I
got you.
Give us your best. Give us your best, Andrew.
Dude, I legitimately have no idea. Like, not like I've had a terrible week. I'm just trying to think of like some extraordinary thing that's been amazing this week. Ole Miss, subpar. Like, I have nothing that's just been the best this week.
Nothing at all has been the best.
It was that way growing up.
That's
you know.
tragic.
I know. I'm
It was,
sorry. I'm a
you know,
glass half full, or
yeah.
I'm not even like a glass half full person. I'm like, there's pee in that glass.
I'm
in
not
there.
even. I'm not even shocked at this, Tanner. I lived to it for 18 years. So.
Yeah. I guess for me, my best, and I told you guys about it yesterday, was I finally got to introduce myself to this Asian family at my kid's school, you know, and it's kind of stalkerish a little bit, but, you know, you see them.
And you're going to Japan.
We're going to Japan in the fall, and a couple weeks ago I found out that Asian family is Japanese. So it was fun when we got to introduce ourselves, and Sadie said, "Konnichiwa, arigato," which is...
Stop it.
Yeah,
nice.
she was her eyes lit up. She was so impressed. And
She's much more culturally sensitive than I am.
That's right.
100%.
Anyways, and so I told her, I was like, you know, we're trying to learn more about the Japanese culture since we're going to get to go in October. And
that is awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool. And I said, I asked her what her name was, and she told me her name. And I said, "Watashi wa Tanner desu." And she said, "Hi." And
no way.
That's my name is Tanner in Japanese. And she said yes in Japanese. Like,
see, I would have said, C.
Yeah, you would have. You would have probably combined Spanish, French, and some sort of redneck and all into one language.
Absolutely,
or something like
absolutely.
That.
Terry was trying to figure out why she said hi after you said your name and stuff.
Kudos, though. That's impressive.
So I'm
Tanner,
so excited. Anyways, gave her a church card. I was like, hey, I would love, you know, if you check us out or something. Maybe we can, when we get the Japan team together, maybe she can come and teach us a little bit about culture or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to. I've got so many ideas for, and this poor lady has no idea what's coming. You know,
Tanner, I'm so impressed. This is so much more discipleship and Christ-like than introducing yourself to Bill Gaither.
Come on now,
Lori.
No. All right, Terry, what's your worst of the week? What was your worst
having a
of the
heart
week?
procedure? Definitely was not the most pleasurable experience. So Belin's been a great nurse, though. It's been a lot of chest pain, so it's been a little bit more intense than what we had bargained for. It took a lot longer than they thought, and so there was more problem there. But I was glad to know I had a heart, so that part was good.
It's there.
So it was all right.
Us too.
Yeah, didn't embarrass myself with the nurses or anything, but it was
sad.
Yeah, it was something that we're hoping that will be something that will make it better. And then the other worst was it's been a sort of a sucky week on that side of things. Can't come to work and all that until today, but and then yesterday was the anniversary of Kobe's death, and so I'm a huge Kobe fan, and so it just I cried a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So
yesterday or a year ago?
A year ago yesterday.
Oh, okay.
A year ago yesterday. Yeah. So it was the anniversary. I'm sorry, the 1 year anniversary.
I knew
of
that,
his
but I
death,
mean, did
so,
you cry yesterday or did you?
Oh yeah, I cried again yesterday. So yeah. And so I watched all the tributes and stuff like that. And that's what made me cry. And so just doing all that. But he was an incredible, what you should understand, he was a girl dad. And so, so he was, just
it's tough.
Besides the basketball, side of things, it was, he was a good guy.
Mm-hmm. I saw Pau Gasol's tribute to him.
That was
pretty
neat. I did not know that part, how that they were like brothers. So that was something I learned.
That was cool. Interestingly about Pau and Kobe, many moons ago, me and Ashley, when I was living in Nashville, Ashley was in Arkansas still. We met in Memphis to go on a date.
I seen pics of that.
Yeah, and we went to the Lakers Grizzlies game, and we saw the game, and then it was 2 weeks later, like literally within 14 days, Powell was traded to the Lakers.
Yes.
So that's pretty neat.
Do you know, Dan, and this thing, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I was at that game too.
No way.
So, yes.
Oh, that's cool.
I would have walked right by you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. We didn't know each other back then.
That's true. That's true.
But anyways. All right, Andrew, what's your worst of the weekend?
Everything. No.
He had no best, but he has lots of worsts.
Hold on. How much time we have? No, I'm just kidding.
Kill the podcast.
Oh, you go.
No, I mean, I really don't have anything that was the worst. I've just had a blah week. Story of my life. Yeah. I feel like Eeyore. No, the only frustrating thing I can really think of this week was we've been going on 3 weeks waiting to get a dishwasher installed, and
You got one. You married one.
Wow.
Come on.
Oh, man.
Come on.
Well, right now her belly sticks out. She can't open the door without hitting the kid. So
she's pregnant. Let's qualify that. Oh, you guys are in so much toast trouble.
My wife is not overweight.
Wow. We'll be looking for 2 new staff members now.
There's been a murder in Tupelo.
I
no.
do declare.
I haven't watched The Office in a week, so yeah, that's been what it is. I spent time with Jesus and everything, but I haven't seen The Office in a week. That's what's been wrong with me, I guess. But
all right. My worst. I've been saving this for the podcast. I haven't told Ashley this yet. All right. So she'll get a kick out of this too. So y'all know I've been swimming lately. Do you know I've been swimming lately a lot?
Right.
Just trying to
At
get
the aquatic center, not outside.
Yeah, at the aquatic center.
I didn't know it was at the aquatic center.
At the aquatic center, I've been swimming and just trying to get a little more in shape, a little more healthy. And I like my shape; it's nice and round. But anyways, so I've been going to the pool, and usually I'll take the girls to school and I'll drop them off, and then I'll go swim and come over here and do our thing. But let's see, what day was it? Monday. I did not have time in the morning to go. I had to go in the afternoon, and I try not to go in the afternoon very much because it's after school. There's like a junior high swim team where they're taking up 16 of the 20 lanes, which is fine, and then after the junior high is like a middle school team. So it kind of gets younger.
So you look like the really old guy that's there with the junior high kids.
Exactly, yeah. I'm like the fat guy in the other lane over here.
All you need is a mustache.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And explain to our audience, though, in all fairness, so that they understand why in the world would anybody choose swimming as an exercise program, because that's not a necessarily a most popular thing. But you were a swimmer in high school.
I swam in high school. I was all conference.
Right, you were acclaimed.
Yes, I was 5.5 seconds off the world record in the 50 freestyle race.
And it's a picture that
that's an eternity of time. Don't let me fool you.
You showed us a picture of that, and I don't want to see that again.
I've got it. If anyone wants to see my Speedo picture,
you do not want to see that. But anyway, but kudos for the
Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, so they're like, and the kids in the afternoon, they're like a swarm of bees. You leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. They're not going to bother you. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I was all trying to rush to get to the pool and swim, and then go pick the girls up from Harrisburg. Right. So I'm in a rush, and my brain's just not normal. Everything's different than my normal routine, okay? So the big pool in there is, when you first get in, it's a little chilly. The water's like 76, 77 degrees, okay? So it kind of hits you at first, and then you're good to go. So I always jump in like I'm doing a race.
Just man up, dude.
Just jump in and start swimming. Like, don't jump down to the bottom and swim back up. Just go at it, right? So I get to where I normally do I'm in lane 18 over there, and there's people everywhere. It's like this is the busiest Monday ever. And I jump in, and my pants come all the way down.
Stop it.
I had forgotten to tie my drawers because I was in such a hurry. I don't know that anybody saw it. I don't think that no one said anything. No one started pointing and laughing or whatever, So I'm dead serious, but I stood up and I'm trying to get my drawers back on, just keep swimming like nothing happened. Oh, I was so angry. Like, I don't embarrass ever, hardly. It would definitely don't embarrass easily, and I was very close to being embarrassed.
That would qualify, dude. That would if you're ever going to be embarrassed, that would, Tanner.
So that was my worst of the weekend. It was like, go in the morning, don't go in the afternoon, because there's everyone around. In the morning, that could have happened. I could have swam naked and no one would have known, because there's nobody there. It's pure emptiness. But
I'm really thinking we're going to not have an episode 4 of our podcast after that. You win hands down of the worst. My heart. I totally acquiesce my heart surgery to that.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a good segue into local promotions and stuff, because you don't want to go to the aquatic center. You'll see Tanner naked apparently.
Their business just went totally tank.
Sorry, guys. That was sorry. But anyways, all right. Local flavor. Where to go in Tupelo, Andrew?
Where to go? I don't know. I've not really been out trying anything majorly new just yet. I'm trying to think if
you can do it.
Somewhere to recommend.
I'm so glad you came prepared today.
I know.
I'm ready, so I'll go again while he's thinking.
Go ahead.
I'm struggling.
Yeah,
I'm struggling today.
It's just, Alex Johnson has a car repair shop here in town.
Okay,
Johnson. And so we had off the record this, Daniel, I hope he's not listening, but we had a little race coming to church Sunday morning. So we come in from Moorville exit, and we were, his truck shuts off at 98. I'll just let you say that. And anyway, so we had a little race. So I would recommend check out Johnson's Automotive, shop. So
where is Johnson's Automotive?
It is on Daybright Drive. So
Daybright, and that's down by the hospital.
Down by the hospital. Yep.
Okay. Check out Johnson Automotive for just all your car
repair needs. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah.
I do have a recommendation actually, because it was the first time I went there in probably 15 years, is because the last time I went there, I was skipping high school class to go there. But it was Connie's over by the hospital as well. It was. It has been a long time since I had a chicken biscuit with some gravy on it, and we may or may not picked up a dozen blueberry donuts for the two of us. But it's so worth it. So worth it.
And what time of day did you go to Connie's and get these donuts?
I went in the morning.
And then where did you go from there? Home?
Probably.
And you didn't come to work and share donuts?
That's what Tanner's really concerned
I mean,
with. No, I
I'm with
absolutely
Tanner.
didn't bring them here.
We need to have
Shame.
we need to talk to the deacons about that. So.
Shame.
Goodness. No, I definitely didn't bring them for you.
I'm with Tanner on that.
Well, all right. Well, I'm going to give my where to go in Tupelo, and it's not really Tupelo, but I was at Chili's, and I just love their chips and salsa at Chili's. They got the best chips and salsa.
They're good.
And if I can share, you were there for this story. My cool Chili's story is the one in Tupelo. I had gone and I asked for a what?
I said I remember now.
Yeah, I went there and I wanted water with lemon. That's what I get to drink everywhere, every restaurant I go. Water with lemon. That's a pretty normal thing, right? And the sweet waitress lady brought me a bottle of water, and a cup of lemons to go for my water with lemon. So I thought that was a lot of fun. But go get the Chili's, the chips and salsa. You can't beat it. It's so good. Anyways, all right, folks, that is our podcast for today. All hearts and minds clear.
I'm going home and go to bed.
Yeah, Terry's going to bed. Terry's going to bed because he's still, I was hoping you'd come a little doped up on some medicine today.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Y'all haven't
Usually
lived
it's
until you've seen
inappropriate.
Terry, acting inappropriately. Yeah.
Well, I've never went swimming in a kid's pool with no trunks on.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man.
Well, so we'll leave you with that visual image.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Have fun imagining that. Yeah. They're all thinking I'm not listening to this podcast anymore. Well, we do appreciate you listening. Check it out: Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, and come to church on Sunday. Services at 9:00 and 10:30 a.m. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Thanks for being here with us. Have a great day.
Peace.